Zac Green here again with Legends Classic Country 101.3 FM, here with Pampa's head coach Floyd White for Week 7 of Whiteboard Wisdom, a weekly coaches show. Last week, the Harvesters had the bye week, no game. They got to rest up, heal up, get some extra work in to try to shore up some of the areas from pre-district that they felt like needed some more work. So, Coach, just briefly go over, the pre-district play and some of the folks that didn't hear the show last week, and then briefly talk about the Perryton game before we go on.
Well, our pre-district slate was definitely we definitely dug ourselves some holes with some of the things that we did. Nothing was ever really out of reach. Everything was always right there within reach. We just didn't make some of those plays that we needed to that stopped us from being. The reality of it is we could have been 5-0 coming out of it, but instead we're 1-4, and you use all that as learning processes to help you to kind of motivate your guys and to get them ready to go into our tough district slate, because we got a pretty tough one. The Perryton score, it ended up being 49-35, but really that's kind of it's really misleading, that score is, because it was nip tuck the entire game, and then you get yourself down and you start trying to kick onside kicks, trying to get back to it, and so you give them short fields, and all of a sudden the game kind of starts to get away from you just a little bit. But ultimately, our kids we're starting to hit our strides where we need to hit our strides. We just got to make sure that we don't get ourselves any more banged up going through this week, so that way we're ready going into this Friday night's game versus Hereford.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about from Perryton's game or the pre-district slate?
No, just like I said, the one thing I'm happy about coming out of our pre-district slate is that our kids are learning how to compete. They know now they can compete with anybody, and if they'll just really concentrate on taking care of the small things, they're going to find a lot more success than they're going to not find that success. So that's the one positive thing that came out of the pre-district slate, in my opinion.
Okay, so shifting gears tonight, now we have district play kicking off. Hereford Whitefaces are coming into town. Hereford won their first game against Lubbock High, but then they've kind of suffered 4 straight losses to Estacado, Plainview, Perryton, and Seminole. So they're sitting with the identical record at 1-4, but as coach, as we both know, Pampa and Hereford, as you just mentioned, could easily be flipped to 5-0 or 4-1 or something like that. And so most importantly, everyone now has a clean slate, so just kind of talk about that a little bit.
Well, that's the great thing about the pre-district slate is that, it doesn't really count to anything. Yes, it counts to your overall record, but the reality of it is that the games that count in your potential playoff matchups are your district games. And so, you can now take those pre-district records and you kind of throw them out, because, people are going to start doing some different things, because you see these guys every year. And because you see these guys every year, you know them, you know their players, you know their kids, you know what they like to call, what they don't like to call. And so there's definitely going to be some change-ups that happen as a result of that. And so, I know that Coach Nairn and those guys over at Hereford, they do a great job. They're going to have their guys prepped and ready to go. And, we went into that game last year, we didn't quite know what to expect, because they were brand new, or we were brand new, and we're just trying to kind of figure out what was going on with those guys. And we got out there and we played those guys. We played them, nip tuck the entire game. And then they threw a couple balls over our head up late, and that's kind of what ended up being the end all be all of those games. And so, now looking forward to it, they still have a good quarterback running around. They still have good receivers and a good offensive line. They play some solid defense. And so, now we've got to make sure that we adapt ourselves to be able to do the things that we need to do with those guys.
Okay, and you mentioned quarterback Caleb Ramirez. He's just a talented kid. He's been starting for him since he was a freshman, and he also plays shortstop and pitches for him, and he's already committed to Texas, I believe, for baseball. And so that's somebody that most people are going to recognize immediately. But who are some of the other key players on offense, and what do they do that will challenge our defense?
Up front, they're a typical Hereford team. They're really big, and they're pretty athletic. And those guys, they can get out there and they can move some bodies. They have a pretty good receiver, number 12. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he and number 11, those are their go-to guys when they want to throw the ball down the field. And then, they have They have running back, the good low kid, number 22. He's a really elusive back. He can get out there and he can really tote the mail. He's not real big in stature, but man, you watch him and there's not one person that ever just brings him down by themselves. And so, that's going to be a heck of a deal. And they also got another tight end back, number 44. He's a sophomore. He's a young kid. I think he played quarterback on their freshman team last year. But, he's going to be a good one for him before it's all said and done.
Okay, and then on defense, what can we expect from their defense and some of the key players on that side of the ball?
They've kind of tweaked up what they do defensively just a little bit from last year. Last year they were more of a 4-2-5, four-man front type. Now they spend a lot more of their time now in an odd front, in a 3-4, like most of the other folks in our district. And so, they do a good job up front. They got some bigger kids up front that are kind of hard to move, and they've got a pretty athletic inside backer, number 40. I can't remember his name off. Golly, Arredondo. He's a heck of a player. He's a heck of a player for him last year, and he runs around. He does a great job. And then they're good in the secondary. Those guys they come up. They like to get into the run game, and then they like to sit out there and they don't get beat over the top very often. So that's going to be a challenge for us in our receiving core, is to make sure that we can get over the top of them whenever we need to get a chance to get over the top of them. But if we're doing things right, we'll just continue to run the ball like we have been.
Okay, and so keys to the game tonight. What are your top keys to the game?
I say this every week, but it comes to fruition every time. I mean, the one thing that we have got to stop doing is we've got to stop turning over the ball. I mean, we're scoring a lot of points and we're doing a lot of things, but we're also giving away a lot of possessions. And whenever right now, because some of the things we're doing defensively, we struggle at times and we give up a play or two here or there. So we've got to make sure that we're taking care of the ball. And so we've got to make sure that we're taking care of the ball on our side. So, eliminating turnovers is going to be a huge thing. And then the other big thing is we got to make sure we keep that quarterback in the pocket and make him throw off his back foot and, not let him step up, not let him get comfortable in there where he can deliver a ball. If we can keep him from delivering the ball, we're going to be in great shape. And then, finally, offensively, we just got to continue to run the ball like we always do, continue to make them want to see if they want to step up and they want to play that game all night long. If they want to step up and play that game all night long, we'll see. But there's not a lot of folks that want to do that want to sit there and take on that pounding from our O-line and from our backs all night long.
Okay, so anything else you want to talk about before you get ready for the game tonight against Hereford?
No, I'm excited to watch where our kids go. And we had a great open week. We had a great pre-district slate, and I feel our kids are very, very confident in what it is that we're doing. So I'm excited to watch us get out here and play tonight.
Okay, and then each week we've been highlighting one player from the team in the show. This week's a little bit different. If it's all right with you, Coach, and the listening audience, I want to highlight three young men as they're all triplets on the team this year, seniors. Number 4, Andrew Waldrop, number 6, Reese Waldrop, and number 88, Caden Waldrop. All three have contributed to the team statistically, whether on offense or defense. Reese had a big touchdown at the end of the game last week, and then I know Andrew had an interception, I think, a couple games ago. And so just talk about their impact on the team, Coach, as their athletes, but also off the field as well.
Well, you're not going to get a more dynamic group of guys than you do with those triplets. They are full of energy. They're fired up about life, and they get out there every day, and they're so much fun to be able to coach and to be able to be around. They're so positive with a lot of stuff that they do, but they also take a lot of leadership. They take on a lot of role leadership. Caden actually got voted as one of our captains this year, and it's fun to watch. When I got here that spring, they were all sophomores, and man, they just looked like little chihuahuas. And they all kind of feed off of one another. And now to watch how they've grown over the last 2 years has just been, to me, it's so refreshing, because you don't see young men that do the things that they do on a consistent basis. And so they're a ton of fun. Andrew, he gets going at times, and I have to go over there on the sideline and tell him, hey man, you better stop. You're going to get us another 15-yard penalty, because he's full of vim and vinegar. Caden, I coach him directly every week. And he's so cerebral. I can tell him, hey, I need you to do this, and I need you to kind of peel back off of doing this. Okay, no problem, Coach, I got you. And he can do that. And then Reese, he plays safety for us, and then turns around and goes and plays tailback for us, and he does all kinds of different things. And it's just every one of them brings something new to the table. And so, I wish that we had him for another 2 years, because if we had him for another 2 years, man, there's no telling what they'd be able to do.
Okay, thank you, Coach. That does it for another week of Whiteboard Wisdom. And so let's hope that next week we're talking about that first district point, and it's in the win column instead of the loss column. So, again, I'm Zac Green. You're listening to Legends Classic Country 101.3, and we'll be back next week at the same time for another episode of Whiteboard Wisdom.